Welcome to the Downtime from WTWH Media with your hosts, Sarah Wynn and Sherry Kasperzak, bringing you everything you need to know from the week in manufacturing.
Hi, this is Sarah Wynn with the Downtime.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Sherry Kasperzak, also with the Downtime. We're so excited that you decided to spend your downtime with us. Once again, we are on episode 2, if you can believe it, and we are so excited to be here with you.
Yeah, we've got a great show planned. We're going to talk a little bit packaging, a little sustainability. Sherry, what do you have on deck?
I have a great conversation about manufacturing workforce. It's a hot topic right now, and you're not going to want to miss it.
Definitely. So let's just dive right on into it. We're going to talk packaging regulations. We teased this a little bit last week. So sustainability in packaging is a key pillar right now. And it's not just at the manufacturer level, it's also at the government level. So different states across the US are implementing various packaging laws this year to reduce things like styrofoam, single plastic use. And it's pretty important that you should know about it, not just as a manufacturer or a business person, but there are some consumer effects too. So Sherry, where do you want to start? We've got a lot. We've got hotels impacted. We've got grocery stores, some labeling.
Absolutely. Yeah. We both have a lot of travel planned. Tell us all you can about regulations at hotels. That's, travel is such a huge industry and it impacts a lot of people. I know I'm going to be heading out on the road this coming month in May. It's a busy month for both of us. So why don't we start at the hotel level?
Yeah, so we're definitely going to be at the hotel in the next few weeks. So it's a good place to start. Different states across the country are implementing plastic bans on single-use items like shampoo containers that are under 6 ounces. So when you go to hotels in Illinois or New York, Washington, among others, you will notice that those little hotel-sized shampoos and lotions, they're probably not going to be there. They're definitely not.
That's the best part of going to a hotel is getting the free little shampoo. I'm so sad.
I add probably because some of the laws go into effect within the year. And you can read all of the regulations and changes at packagingoem.com. We also shared this on LinkedIn. Sherry very recently posted it on LinkedIn. It's up there. It's there to read. We're here to help. But yeah, the highlight for you is staying at a hotel is that little shampoo to take home. I know my mom loves those. She's got a whole bag. They're not going to be there in certain states. Where I am, Ohio, we don't have any legislation for it at the moment. But, like I said, Illinois, single-use plastic personal bottles under 6 ounces, like shampoo, it'll apply to all hotels. All hotels will have the ban starting Jan 1, 2026. And then Washington, very similar, in efforts to ban plastic pollutions, hotels with 50 or more rooms will be banned from personal health products. So that is more on the consumer side. And another tidbit we can add into the consumers is, when you go out to eat, Sherry, or you get takeout, what kind of container are you taking home? Is it styrofoam? Because in some states now, it won't be allowed. The manufacturers, food vendors will have to produce different eco-friendly options for food takeout. Especially Delaware is prohibiting restaurants from providing ready-to-eat food or beverages, so this is beverages too, in polyester foam containers. And their ban also, they also have a ban on single-use plastic items in food service, including coffee stirrers and cocktail picks. So, Sherry, if we meet up in Delaware, we better have a way to stir our coffee. We're not going to be using single-use plastic.
If only they had like something that was spoon-like that you could stir your coffee with.
A spoon?
I know, crazy.
Sandwich picks too are in this. So you go to get a nice sandwich, maybe it's a big sandwich. You want to have a pick sticking in there that's made of plastic. I'll just say that. In addition, there's some labeling changes in Michigan. That's on the website. I won't dive too deep into that. Polyester and styrofoam bans close this one out. They're in Virginia, they're in Oregon, they're in Rhode Island, so it's multiple states. It's actually where Sherry is at. So
I'm in Rhode
Sherry will
Island.
not be getting styrofoam containers.
Well, most of the containers that we get now are the plastic containers. So we don't really have, we have pretty strict like plastics laws here in Rhode Island. Like there are no plastic bags in grocery stores. You used to have to buy them, but now they've banned them completely here. So the state of Rhode Island has pretty strict laws around packaging. Like we don't like you can't get a straw in restaurants. Like they just don't have them. Straws are banned. We don't have plastic bags. So we already have pretty stringent laws around like packaging and plastics here.
Sherry, you mentioned grocery stores. That's a great tie-in to the packaging regulations we're talking about because in California, you can no longer get those single-use plastic bags for produce or for meat. They effective this year, they must now be made of recyclable paper.
Wow, that's really interesting that, there's so many differences between states. So, wow, that's really
Yeah.
fascinating. And again, where can people read the article that includes a whole slew of regulations that people need to be aware of? Where can they read that?
So the story is called The United States of Packaging, and it can be found on packagingoem.com. We'll also share it on the Downtime's LinkedIn page.
Thanks so much. That's really helpful. So, hey, now that we're on the topic of packaging, you had a really interesting conversation at ProMat 2025 in Chicago, like a few weeks ago with SICK, a company that produces sensors, like vision sensors for their production line. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So I met with SICK at ProMat about a month ago. I met various members of their team. They were a pleasure to meet in person, including some from Ohio. I liked that. They had a variety of solutions on display. The one that really caught my eye was in making its debut at the event was their sensing cam. It's a very small 5 megapixel color camera that can be placed on packaging lines, on plant floors. It's not just for packaging. It can be used in a variety of industrial settings because it's built for rugged conditions. And there are two models, the 100 and the 110. If you view our story on packagingoem.com, you'll see both. The 110 offers a live stream dashboard, which we have a photo of, and unfortunately includes myself on our website. So we did talk to SICK, and it was great to talk to them. And Sherry, what do you think about it?
I think that's so cool. I think it's so helpful to kind of have eyes on the production line at all times in the event that something happens. I think that, I can even think about all of the cost savings, wasted materials, if something happens, if something gets caught, if something isn't processing properly, like all of the waste that you might encounter. And that's got to be a great cost saving measure just to be able to get right on it and troubleshoot immediately if there's a problem on the production line.
Yeah, so this has workflow monitoring, documentation, analysis. It offers all of that. And it's in a tiny little compact camera. It's there. I saw it in person. I didn't hold it, but it's very small and easy to integrate. And now, I spoke with Jim Anderson from SICK. We're going to listen to a little bit of what he had to say at the event.
Let's listen. Sounds great.
Jim Anderson with SICK here. I want to introduce you to our new Sensing Cam, the Sensing Cam 110 and 100. It's a new industrial camera that is triggered by events that gives us the ability to track and FTP images based on events that happen in the network. So if you have a digital signal that tells the camera when to take a picture, the camera will take a picture, save it to the network, and FTP it to where it needs to go. Then if you go to the 110 model, we have a video feed that's being recorded, and then when it records an event, either a shock or a vibration on the motor like I have set up over here, then that we can set a time frame to capture data before and after the event. So we can have a plus 10 seconds, minus 10 seconds, or up to plus minus 40 seconds to be able to capture that data and see what happened in the on the plant floor, so you have a better understanding of what happened in your facility. Oftentimes this would get used for checking for
Sherry, while we're on the topic of ProMat and sustainability, I wanted to talk about pack size. At ProMat, they premiered their new X6 box making machine. It's capable of producing up to 1,500 boxes per hour. It can also create trays and flaps. While I was there, I met with Pack Size's Chief Revenue Officer, Brian Reinhart. We're just going to quickly listen to what he had to say.
Hi, my name is Brian Reinhart. I'm the Global Chief Revenue Officer with PackSize. We're really excited to be exhibiting here at ProMat, showing off our new X6 technology. The X6 is our tray and lid box first machine, and some fun features about it I'm not going to dive in too deep, but it is the fastest box production machine on the market, up to 1,500 boxes per hour. It has the largest box entitlement on the market, meaning it can do your big ones for multi-order e-com systems, as well as low, small individual item boxes, and it's fully integrated into any ASRS, picking, or existing pack operation within your facility. So those are just some of the highlights of the technology.
We have another really fascinating article that's coming out in the May-June issue of Control Engineering from our good friends at Hargrove Controls and Automation. And they had an interesting statistic in that article that they quoted saying 1/3 of all engineering jobs annually between now and 2030 will go unfilled. And to me, that is crazy. That's just insane. There's such a massive need for people who are skilled engineering workers. And there are a variety of ways to get there. My conversation with Aaron at ASTM was really insightful. And I like a lot of what he had to say in terms of how not only employers, but schools need to be training people in the engineering and manufacturing fields, providing more hands-on, real life examples of how we're going to use all of the information that we get in schools. Something that I found really fascinating, and you'll hear it in the interview in a few minutes, is kind of this way of teaching certain concepts by doing things like programming robots and being able to understand how things that we learn about in school, like the XY axis, how they really work in the real world. So let's have a listen. I think it's a really great interview, and I think you'll enjoy it. Hi there. We are chatting this afternoon with Aaron Prather. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit about the sort of aging manufacturing, workforce that we're seeing right now. Saw your post on LinkedIn that kind of like hit on the average age of a worker in manufacturing is more than 44 years. How can manufacturers kind of tap into Gen Z and get them energized about manufacturing as a career?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue we're seeing with manufacturers is, yeah, how do you connect with the younger generation? Because they're still, some of them sadly are still looking at textbooks that are showing the factories of earlier times and how they were just dark and dirty places. And that's just not what modern manufacturing is. And I think also when you think about it is how a lot of kids get into whatever their career is they know somebody that's doing that. So as we're losing manufacturing jobs, a lot of kids just don't know anyone in their family that does this kind of stuff. So they don't know that this is not your grandfather's manufacturing anymore. So I think that's one of the things that just overcoming that perception and not only just for the kids, but their parents. Uh, a lot of I saw an article earlier that said, should we bring U.S. manufacturing back? And it was majority of folks like, yeah, we should do that. Says, are you going to work those jobs? And only 20% said, I'll do that.
I was going to bring that up. That was the Cato Institute survey. It was from, I think, last August. I saw that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? That people agree, yeah, we should have manufacturing in the United States, but no one wants to work those jobs.
Yeah, I think that's always the big catch 22 we see with all this of you're like, oh, because I've always had to deal with this of like we should put more robotics and automation into manufacturing, not only to address the labor shortage, but also just to make it more efficient. And people are like, you're taking people's jobs. I'm like, okay, you want the job? And they're like, no. And it's like, okay, well then, what do you want here, kind of stuff. I mean, it's almost NIMBY attitudes in like I don't want you to take that job, but I'm not willing to do that job. Like, okay, then where are we going? I mean, it is that whole thing of these. I mean, and I can see a lot of us get caught up in that, but at the end of the day, if you're not willing to do that job, don't tell other folks how to do it. Plain and simple.
Is the solution somehow rooted in automation? Is it getting people excited about using automation and being kind of like the brain behind that automation and you have like obviously people are needed
Mhm.
in the automation process. How do you feel manufacturers can get younger people excited about being that sort of brain behind the automation?
Yeah, I mean, I think what the best story I can tell is when I saw some folks that are being trained as CNC operators. And I mean, these are the kinds of jobs we need. We need folks that know how to run CNC machines because they got to set up the machines, they got to know how to program them. So that's really exciting stuff. And then when you show them how they could attach a robotic arm to the CNC machine, so now it's putting the raw stock in and taking the finished product out, and that they could do that, and they could run maybe six, eight CNC machines doing that. You see, I mean, I saw these guys' eyes light up like, wow, I could do all that, and it's empowering when not only are they showing that they're skilled tradesmen on how they can design parts and make great parts, but that they're also programmers, they're roboticists, they're floor managing. I mean, they're doing all these different things. And I just think it starts to show what the potential of adding automation can be. We all use automation in our daily lives. It's sometimes we just don't realize it. I mean, this thing that was given to us has changed the world, but it's taking that thought process of everything that this small little phone has done for us, of how do you apply that to manufacturing? How do you apply that to agriculture? How do you apply it to all these jobs that no one really wants to do? But if we could automate them, you're solving the process and creating a whole new job at the same time.
Right. Is there some, I guess, use in changing the way that we go about training people? I've had conversations about this before that no one reads manuals anymore. No one's going to go and look up how to, change a part. They're going to look up a video.
Yep.
And do you feel like there's real value in manufacturers kind of changing the way that they approach how they train their employees?
I really do think there is, and exactly as you said, we're not reading manuals anymore. We're watching YouTube videos, and you can learn a lot from a YouTube video. I've learned plenty from YouTube videos.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think there is a mindset change there, and I mean, one of the things I've also started thinking about from a recruitment side of this, of how do you get more folks in, is we all remember those days back as students in school where you raise your hand and says and ask the teacher says, "What am I going to use this for?"
Yeah.
Well, maybe we need to start showing what some of this is. I've always thought that having a robotic arm in geometry classes would probably go a long way in showing what X, Y, Z axes really look like, and
Absolutely.
actually programming a robot as you're learning geometry and then literally saying, wow, I can now apply this thought process to this. So I think it'd be great if each course we take sort of shows like what career paths each of these courses could lead to. And you could do that as a video. I mean, you could, and it's, I think we just have to start thinking outside the box of how do you connect with some of these. I think one of the things in like this Wall Street Journal article that came out, it talks about just how a lot of folks just sort of come across some of these jobs in this, and the term was haphazard mix of initiative, luck, coincidence, and connections.
Yeah.
We need to sort of figure out, okay, how do we not make that haphazard? How do we really get to those points? How do we create networks of connections? How do we not make it where it's just luck that you came across this? How do we deliberately show how various education programs lead to different careers and what those look like? And we probably could do it in YouTube videos. I think that might actually be the best. I mean, TikTok. I mean, let's put some of this short video creation to use. And I think we see progress on that front. And I think there are some smart manufacturers that are trying those things of how do you connect with the next generation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on that, front from the Wall Street Journal article, there has been this push to move manufacturing jobs back to the United States. I feel like that's a more complex issue. But how can we make it less complex? And is there a way to fast forward that process? Or do you think it is something that's just going to take, a lot of kind of rethinking and changing the way that we approach technology and manufacturing as an industry?
I mean, I think it's going to take a multi-approach because the ultimate thing is everyone can like see the Ford factory or the Whirlpool factory and say, "Oh, I know what that company does. I understand what Whirlpool makes. I know what Ford makes." The whole thing is the core of all manufacturing are the smaller guys. The guys that you don't know what they're really making, but they're making all the parts that are going into the bigger things. And that's who we need to focus on is how do you get these smaller and medium businesses not only employees and attached to how do we connect them with those employees, but how do we connect them with the automation? Because those guys don't go to trade shows. They don't go looking for, they sort of need to be almost pulled in to this. And I think this comes to the second point. If we're going to use any kind of social media to do this, we also got to be very brutally honest of what works, what doesn't work, because what the last thing is we don't need a small manufacturer saying, "Oh, I can just buy these humanoids." Yeah, that's all. That's all smoke and mirror, guys. Right now, that's just fancy videos. But how do you get them excited about how to find employees, how to get them trained on this stuff, and what is the realistic expectations? It's just amazing of there's still so many small manufacturers with CNC machines that don't know how to do robotic arms, like we talked about earlier. Uh, how do we get them just up to speed on those kind of things? So it is a double-edged sword of how do you attract the workers and get their skills up to par, and how do you get the automation and the tools to then bring all that together? Because when you have skilled workers and great automation together, that's when the big stuff happens, and the big players know that.
Mm.
It's how do we get the small and medium guys to know that too?
Right. Do you think that there's real value? And I've seen it at least anecdotally, a push towards trade school.
Mhm.
I think as the Wall Street Journal article mentioned, there are more careers that are very well-paying, careers that don't require a college degree, that don't require advanced education. It's
Yep.
just a matter of training. Do you feel like we're going to have a sort of revitalization of trade school and maybe even in high schools, a push towards more trades-based education?
Yeah, I mean, I really think the German model, as it's always referred to, I mean, NIST has sent teachers and their own folks over to Germany to look at that model. I was in Stuttgart just last month, and it was interesting because I was going to a conference and I had to ride the tram. Each morning, I'm riding the tram with a bunch of kids because they're not going to their local schools, they're going to their specialty school. They're going to their university bound school or their trade school. And there is something to be said about that model because we do know that kids start forming an opinion of where they see themselves going by about the middle school, freshman year ages. So it's like, why don't we get them in those programs? My one concern is I think, and it's still being sort of studied out. I am of the personal opinion that No Child Left Behind really destroyed the trades because everything got pushed to focusing on take the test. We got to show that you're reading and writing and all that, and math is all good. And that huge focus on testing sort of just made all the other stuff fall away. And now it's like we need those skill. We need those trade skills back. So I personally really see a value in trade schools, but now it's like how we have to rebuild them practically in so many places. Now, there are still some great ones out there that are really thriving, and I think that makes the case we need more of them. I know a local high school here just opened up a CNC machine shop and all that, and it's being praised. Like, thank you for doing this. We need this. And it's like, yeah, we need about a dozen more too, just in my local area for to keep up. So there is something to be said about it, but I think also it's going to take a big push at the local, state, and federal levels, and I just don't know if we're there right now.
Yeah.
Sherry, that was a great interview. One thing I really found interesting that Aaron had to say is that people aren't learning the same way that they used to just 10, 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
People are
Yeah.
really people are relying on YouTube videos. They're not looking at manuals.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't read manuals. I'm sure you don't either. Like, and you can learn a lot from watching YouTube videos.
I think it's interesting too, and you can kind of tie it into just digital transformation as a whole, not necessarily just to manufacturing, but education is different now. Students have Chromebooks. Things aren't the way they used to be. So I like that Aaron highlighted that in terms of the manufacturing aspect about learning.
Absolutely. I think in order to attract Gen Z workers, manufacturers are going to have to meet them where they live and meet them how they learn and teach them how they learn. So yeah, I agree. That was a great interview. And so we're going to wrap it up today by giving a little preview of what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So it is going to be a super busy May for us. It's going to be May. If you know, you know.
See what you did there.
You see what I did there. So coming up next week, I am going to be at the Robotics Summit and Expo in Boston. I'm really excited to meet up with some folks from WTWH Media there. I know that the Robot Report is going to be there as well. Some of the folks from our robotics tower are going to be not only attending, but they're going to be leading some panels, which is exciting. I'm super psyched to see what they do. I understand that there is going to be a humanoid coffee server in attendance.
No
And
way.
you know me, I love to get caffeinated, and I think I'm gonna have to go check out the humanoid robot coffee waitress that they have available. It's going to be right outside of all of the keynote events. So if you know,
Awesome.
you know, and yeah, just go check it out. If you haven't registered for the Robotic Summit in Boston, you still can. So go check it out. We'll actually link it on our LinkedIn page. By the way, if you have not already done so, go over to our LinkedIn page, the Downtime, and give us a follow because you don't want to miss it. We're going to include all of our episodes, plus fun memes because we're hilarious. And so yeah, go follow us on LinkedIn. If you also want to, while I'm here, while I've got your attention, go follow us on SoundCloud, on Spotify, and on YouTube, so you don't miss a single episode.
Sherry, before I go bye next month,
See what you did there.
I want to circle back to ProMat real fast about the infamous robot that was serving ice cream.
I feel like I missed out on a lifetime. I'm not going to get emotional, I promise. But I could not find the robot that was serving ice cream, and I'm trying to move on. It's hard. It's hard for me.
So we're going to bring our listeners in on a little inside joke. We were at ProMat with some of our colleagues, and one of them saw a robot serving ice cream. Sherry and I made it our mission to find this robot. The event was huge. It was 3 different halls. Sherry never found it.
Never
And when I
found it.
found it, it was bagging like groceries or organizing groceries. It wasn't serving
It's
ice
not the
cream.
same. It's not the same. Tell me I'm
Yeah.
wrong. It's not the same.
So
I
Sherry's
mm, it's my life
Sherry
goal
has a
now.
I know, and you're gonna get the coffee robot, so you should be good.
I mean, it's
I,
okay. It will do, I guess, but it's not an ice cream serving robot.
putting it the robot puts sprinkles on and everything.
Oh, no, that's just a knife in the wound. Ah,
That's what I was told. I didn't see it for myself.
just
I didn't see
twist
it.
the knife.
I saw it organizing some stuff, which was still cool. Not ice
Yeah,
cream.
I mean, hey, nothing against organizing robots. I have nothing against the various tasks that robots take on every day, and I do think that they serve a great purpose. And automation is not just the future; it's now, and we have to just learn to adapt to it. But I won't rest. See, here's the thing. I'm about to go on a tangent, so brace yourself.
Okay.
See, I was promised hover cars, and all I got was the Back to the Future hoverboard thing. I was promised a Jetsons car, never happened, and I missed out on the one thing that would have made my childhood goals and dreams of flying cars all worthwhile, the ice cream serving robot, and I missed.
If we can get a robot in like a WWE ring or like on the field at Ohio Stadium, that will make my life complete. I know it's a large ask.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
A humanoid, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
So I'll transition where I'm going to be. And, Sherry, this I promise you, I will be getting the best content at Automate in Detroit, Michigan from May 12th to May 15th. And, we'll be kind of like living larger than life, doing videos and photos, lots of social. So make sure to follow packagingoem.com, packaging OEM on LinkedIn. You can add me on LinkedIn, message me and say you listened here. That's an instant ad. I will definitely accept. But yeah, Sherry's got a lot on the calendar in the next few weeks. I will be going to Michigan with some colleagues who I've never met in person, and I am excited to see them.
As you should be. Everyone here is so awesome. So excited for
Mhm.
you. Yeah, we have a busy May coming up. And I promise I won't make the joke again. Um, but
Do it.
so as I already mentioned, I'm going to be at the Robotics Summit next week, April 30th and May 1st. I'm only going to be there on May 1st. So if you're there, May 1st, come find me. We'll say hi. I'll probably mic you up and make you do an interview, and you'll end up here. That's how this works. So I'm going to be there May 1st, taking in the show, getting all of the great robotics photos and video and audio, and we'll have some great highlights the next time we're back here. So you won't want to miss it. That's why you need to subscribe everywhere that you can subscribe so that you don't miss any of this awesomeness. All the video stuff is going to be over on YouTube, so make sure you check us out there. Later on in May, May 5th through May 8th, I'm going to be out in Viva Las Vegas for Epicor Insights. All of the enterprise resource planning and AI content that your wonderful little heart desires. I'm going to be out, sacrificing so much being out in the warm, beautiful Las Vegas sunshine because I care. And I'm so dedicated to this. Later on in May, the day before my birthday, because again, that's how dedicated I am. I'm going the day before my birthday to MD&M East in New York City. That is a hop, skip, and a jump for me. So I'm going to go May 20th to MD&M East at the Javits Center in New York City for more automation, design, engineering, awesomeness. So I will be there on the show floor, grabbing interviews and all of that great content for you. So before you know it, by the time this episode airs, it's gonna be May.
Sherry, it's like, oops, you did it again.
I did it again. Okay.
Played with my heart, got lost in the game.
You know me.
I played it, baby. So looking forward to next week. Next week's episode, we're going to feature Stephanie Neal, VP Editorial Director at WTWH Media, also our boss. So we get to interview her. She's going to be talking about the packaging OEM ebook that she wrote. It's on energy efficient machines. As more manufacturers are looking at OEMs to produce machines that can be sustainable, this really ties in. There's technologies that are involved, there's tips, etc. And the ebook is actually available right now. You can get it at packagingoem.com/resources. But Stephanie will be here with us to dive deeper.
That sounds great. And Stephanie is always a delight to talk to. So I know you're not going to want to miss that. Oh, that's a great segue into another great piece that we're going to be having for next episode. I had a great conversation with Saman Farid, who is the CEO of a company called Formic. They are a machines as a service company. And if you don't know what that is, I didn't know what it was either. But they're one of the surprising winners in the tariff environment that we're living in. With all of the uncertainty around tariffs, a lot of companies are looking to automate, but they don't want to make that big CapEx investment without knowing how things are going to go. So I had a great deep dive conversation with him, talked a little bit about how he would recommend people approach the current environment, and you're not going to want to miss that interview. So check it out.
No, Sherry, can you just tell us real fast, as quick as you can, machines as a service?
Absolutely. Yeah. So machines as a service, it's not just it's kind of like renting machinery. So it's not just renting robots. There are other things that you can rent as well. Things like conveyance, things like you know, obviously you can rent robots, but palletizers, things of that nature. And these are for more short-term tasks that companies, if you have an order that you need to fulfill really quickly, and you may not need that equipment long term, or you don't have or want to make that sort of capital expenditure investment. You can actually not only rent the equipment itself, you can also rent service. They provide data analytics, preventive maintenance, that kind of thing. So you can have somebody who provides that as a one-stop shop. So you don't have to worry about having something like a systems integrator or somebody on your team who is a robotics expert. So you can just have a company that does all that for you. And that's what we're going to be chatting about.
Right, and you're going to share how he's winning the tariff battle, I guess you could call it that.
They're a surprising winner. Yeah, I know it's not just Formic, it's other companies in the same vein, but yeah, he was able to kind of give a bit of an explanation of what exactly they do. And, if you don't want to, go down the machines as a service road, what can you do?
Well said. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it turned out really well. So excited for everyone to hear that interview.
Awesome. And so just to kind of wrap it all up, remember, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud. We're on LinkedIn. Sherry, quit playing games. Sherry, quit playing games with my heart.
Oh my God, I knew that was coming. That's awesome. Well, Sarah, you are my fire. The one desire.
Well, that's good because I want it that way.
See, this is why y'all need to subscribe, because we're awesome. You need to follow us on all platforms, because not only do we bring you the best in manufacturing news that you're not going to want to miss every week, we're also hilarious, just objectively hilarious.
I mean, you're going to make me feel a little cocky, but thank you.
Well, that's my job. I'm here. I'm the hype woman. I'm going to hype everybody up. You come on our show, I'm going to hype you up. I'm going to tell you look great today. I'm going to say, everywhere you go, everyone just like, they just stare at you in awe. Like, I'm going to hype you up. If you need a hype woman, I'm your person. I'm just going to say, hey, you glow.
She's good
smart.
at it.
You're smart. Everyone likes you. You smell nice. Yeah.
She'll go straight through your heart. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we've reached the end of an episode.
We're so lucky.
We are. All right. Well, as always, thank you so much for joining us on the Downtime. Thank you for spending your downtime with us. And we'll catch you in the next one. Bye, y'all.